Hello YouTube, Outlaw 2747 here. I had some stuff to do, but I figured I'd do a video before I, go complete some missions. And this one thing has been bothering me. It's been bothering me for years, ever since I was a child. And ever since these massacres and these school shootings have been going on, people have been ranting and raving about how violent video games and violent movies are what's contributing to these shootings. And I'm like, no, that's not it. No. Now, am I saying 100% that they are not the cause? No, absolutely not. I'm pretty sure there are adults out there who watch this stuff just not in the right state of mind and use this stuff as fuel to go do what they do. But that is like, those are isolated cases. Those are rare. Those are only a tiny pocket of people who do that. I can say that with a lot of confidence. I would go as far as to say that even if violent video games and violent movies were inspired, it would be because there are little kids like 5, 6 years old playing Grand Theft Auto. You know, their parents are not watching what the kids are partaking in, and then, because they can't discern between reality and fiction very well, They take it with them as they go older and they do the stuff. But again, that is still the minority. There are other things out there that we need to be looking at, because if we say here, if we take away video games and violent video games and violent movies right now, I am very sure that these massacres will still occur at roughly the same rate that they do now. Point blank. Think about it. What violent video games or violent movies did Hitler and Stalin watch? Or King Henry VIII? Or Genghis Khan? What movies and video games did they partake in that drove them to do the horrible things that they have done? Seriously. Come on. It's a tiny, tiny shred of what's really going on. So, you're probably asking right now, well, Outlaw, what do you think is causing these massacres, these killings? Well, I think there are several things, and sometimes it's an amalgamation of them. I would say, in no particular order, substance abuse is definitely one. Not even that. I was going as far as to say just some of the medications that people are taking. In a lot of these massacres and murders and what have you, there's usually some substance involved. It doesn't even have to be illegal. It could be something that your doctor prescribes you. I hear that, I do my research and everything, and I haven't pinpointed exactly which ones do what, because there's a lot of drugs out there. There's a lot of pharmaceutical substances out there. But some of these anti-depressant, anti-anxiety pills and all these other different types of drugs really have an adverse effect on the human mind. Alcohol, definitely, that's another one. When you're drunk off your rear end, a lot of these things have a huge impact on how people behave. So perhaps we should be looking more into that. We should be looking at how to make our drugs better. Get rid of these horrible side effects, these mind-altering side effects. You take care of one problem, but then you cause another. So perhaps we should be looking at that instead of violent video games and violent movies. Another one would be how we treat each other. Especially when it comes to children. And a lot of these things boil down to children, because a lot of these massacres that you see going on, they're happening with teenagers, young adults, between the ages of 14, 15, and 25, around there, and young males, somewhere in that group, these young guys. And I believe that they're old enough to know that, hey, you shouldn't be going around shooting cops and throwing grenades at people, like they do on Grand Theft Auto, or, Call of Duty, stuff like that. So I think that there is something else going on, and a lot of these cases, in some of these cases, I think it was Columbine, people being picked on, bullied heavily. That's not to say that everybody that's going to be bullied is going to become a mass murderer or a serial killer, but it can surely provoke it, how we treat each other. You know, that's something else we should look at. We should be observing these children a lot better. I'm not saying, like, completely ruin their privacy, you know, watch them every second of the day, because you can't do that. That's unrealistic. And even kids need a tiny bit of their own time. But you should be knowing what your kid is into and who your child is talking to, which is another factor. You know, somebody could have talked these guys into it. Somebody could have given them the illegal substances or these drugs that's causing them to do bad things. We should be monitoring what's going on in our children's lives. Definitely. Absolutely. 100%. Yes. You shouldn't just let them go and just run around free. They're gonna get caught by the wrong influences, and then next thing you know, boom. You know, we should be knowing, especially if your children are being bullied, we should know at what extent. Only you, the parents, know to some extent what your child's threshold is, because everyone has a breaking point. Every single person. I don't care if you're a Buddhist. I don't care how much praying and meditation that you do. I don't care how much yoga, whatever. Everyone has a breaking point. It's only a matter of time before somebody does something that they really shouldn't be doing. Again, I don't see violent video games and violent movies as a prime cause. I wouldn't even put it in like the top 5 causes of, you know, killings and murderings and massacres. Absolutely not. And then you have environment, you know, that contains these people that may be putting a little bug in their ear telling them, hey, you should do this, or giving them guns, or giving them drugs, or picking on them. The environment as a whole. That also includes the home. Again, back to the parents. What are the parents doing? Friends, you should be looking out for your buddies. Are your friends being picked on? Don't say, oh, you're being a little bitch, you know, you should man up and blah, blah, blah. No! You help them out. They're your friends. Alright? Some people are just not, you know, I can beat up any bullies. No, not all of us are like that. Some people, they're a little bit weaker than others, okay? Help them out. Because if you don't, they're going to take matters in their own hands, and you might not like the consequences. But violent video games and violent movies? Look, alright, I'll be honest with you. My mother didn't monitor everything that I did as far as like playing video games and watching movies. But I've played my share of violent video games. Back then, the most violent video games were probably like Contra, you know, stuff like that. You know, those shooters where guys just, you know, blow up into fire and then just have blood and guts everywhere. But still, you know, and I watched stuff like Rambo and Commando, you know, Speed, movies like that where people getting their heads lopped off and shot and everything. I watched stuff like that. But you know what? I was also taught at an early age that, hey, these are the movies, those are video games, don't do those things, it's wrong. I watched, you know, when I was younger, you know, I used to watch shows like Cops and stuff, and people used to do bad things. Oh, I'd be like, oh, don't want to do that, I don't want to go to jail. You know, you should teach your kids this stuff. You know, if violent video games and violent movies really are the primary cause of these massacres and killings, then damn near every single one of us should be a murderer. Every single, like damn near every single one of us. How many of us have seen Expendables? You know, how many of us have played Contra, Call of Duty, Battlefield, Grand Theft Auto? A ton of us. Some of us have done it when we were like 10, 12 years old. Not to say, I mean, I personally don't think that young kids should be playing Grand Theft Auto, but there's plenty of them there's plenty of kids that have played Grand Theft Auto and don't go around shooting people. So apparently it's a very isolated case when something like a video game or a movie actually influences somebody to go out and start massacring people. No, there is something going on in that person's life and interactions with other people and possibly substances that are causing them to do these things. So stop blaming the video games. Because like I said before, there have been plenty of murders and people causing massacres way before TV and way before video games. And actually, it's probably happened more often. You know, so we can get rid of all the Grand Theft Autos and all the Rambos right now. Right now. And somebody will still go out and shoot up a school. I am quite sure of it. So guys, we need to be focusing on each other. We need to be focusing on what's going on in each other's lives. You know, we need to look at the environments. We need to look at the influences. And the influences are not the video games, and they're not the violent movies. They're other people, and they're drugs, and it's the environment as a whole. And I'd go as far as to say bad parenting. Let's leave. The video games are just a model. They're just minuscule. Let's leave that alone. Let's focus on the bigger picture. And maybe, just maybe, we can prevent at least 90% of these massacres and killings. Because let's be honest, I'll be a realist. We're never going to completely stop them. I mean, every single one of them is preventable. But due to people's state of minds and different occurrences, we're never going to completely eliminate the killing. But we can get it down to a point where it is almost unheard of. Just by simply focusing on what's really important. Each other. Outlaw 2747, signing the frig off.